Okay, sounds good. Well, hello everyone, welcome in. We have the Rock Trading on tonight, so we're really excited for that. First and foremost, it's important for you guys to know that this space is being recorded. We're going to post it on our YouTube channel just so it can be watched back for everyone. And the last thing is this room may crash because we are in a beta. So if it does crash, don't worry. We'll get the room back up and going and we'll go from there. So we're really excited and we're happy to have all of you here. Let's get it.
Alrighty, you guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the OTC Club. Our special guest today is the Rock Trader in Training. The Rock Trader. And if you don't already follow him, go ahead and give him a follow. Please hit that follow button. Make sure you follow the OTC Club and the host. Hit the bell for updates also. Let's get it. Let's get to our main guest here, the
Yes,
Rock.
yes.
All right, Rock. So,
What's up, guys?
you ready?
Yeah, ready.
So, question I had, first question is just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about The Rock. Give us some deets.
Okay. Well, I mean, a lot of folks know me on Twitter, FinTwit, as the Rock Trading. It's a brand name I came up with last year or so. But before that, I was always John, and so a lot of people who followed me since last year also know me as John. A little bit about myself. Obviously, I'm a full-time trader, and I'm a father. I have 4 kids. Pretty standard lifestyle here in California. I live in the Bay. So that's about it.
Nice. So tell us how you started trading.
Sure. So let's see. About 2009, 2010, during the recession, the housing bubble, so to speak. And so I started trading around there. The reason is because I wanted to step out of corporate. So I was in my mid 20s at the time, and I just really felt like there was something else for me in life. And um, really wanted to become an entrepreneur, first off, and wanted to step out on my own. And I did pretty well for myself in corporate life. However, I just knew the 8 to 5 grind in an office was just not for me and not for my personality. And so when I stepped out, I took the severance. I took the layoff. Unfortunately, I took the severance payment and just put it all in trading.
Alrighty. Well, what else have you traded? Have you traded any crypto? Do you plan on trading any OTCs?
I get that question a lot. I know a lot of folks want me on OTC.
Mhm.
I traded a few OTCs this year. If you guys have followed me on Twitter, so I tweeted about SSET, SSET, and AGYP, Allied Energy. So those were a couple ones that I was actually bullish about that I could trade. But for the most part, no. I'm just, I'm standard, trader with the normal equities market. Right now, I do hold Ethereum and Bitcoins, several of them. So I don't trade them. I just buy and hold, and I've been doing pretty well with crypto from that end. I don't trade any of the Dogecoin, ADA, Matic, all these other coins out there. I'm sure there's tremendous opportunities out there. It's just not for me.
Have you looked into NFTs lately?
Um, you mean buying them
Yeah.
or? No, not really. So I know stocks like TCAT, TKAT, and a few others have been running off the NFTs, but no, it's just not. I normally just stick with the regular stocks.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about what your most successful trade has been since you started trading.
Sure. So when I got started trading, I bought 1,000 shares for my first daughter, which was Disney. Back then in 2010, 11, it was about, I want to say $20 or $25 or so. So right now she still holds that position. She's over 19 now, so the stock is worth over 180 now. And so that's been my long-term investment for her. Since she's in college, she can use the money for college. But most recently, if everybody on here has probably been, writing support.com. So that's been the most successful trade so far this year. It's been a 600% run. So I would say that's my most successful trade this year so far.
Amazing.
Whoa, that's dope. Yeah, I saw that
Yeah.
run, and I was so mad I wasn't a part of it.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people were chasing that stock up,
Mhm.
but I mean, a high short squeeze potential. So we roll with it. I mean, we scalped it several times from I don't know. We norm. I think the first scalp was like $7 to $8, and then 8 to 10, and then bought back in around under $11, and then watched it run to 60. Pretty fun.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So now that we talked about your most successful trade, if you don't mind sharing with us, because I know it's a lot of new traders out there who really want
Sure.
to know. Because we all make mistakes. What was the biggest
Yep.
mistake you made in your trading career, and
Yeah.
how did you learn from it? What did you learn from it?
There's all you're, I mean, you're always going to make mistakes, right? It's just managing your risk, obviously, right? So I'll give you an example. Excuse me. Last let's see, what year are we in? 2021, 2020. Yeah, remember, if you guys remember, Genius Brands International ran from $1 to $11 within like 2 weeks or so last summer. One of the mistakes that I made was okay. Well, it ran. I didn't take profit on the way up. I just figured that okay, this is an amazing company. Whatever the things that they're doing with Cartoon Channel, etc. So I heavily relied on the fundamentals of the company instead of the technicals. So when they dropped the offering at $11, I said, I kind of lied to myself, right? Hey, yeah, it's so what? They dropped an offering, and companies have to grow. They need to raise capital. I understand that. So I held it, right? So I gave a lot of my profits away from that run most recently. This is my biggest mistake recently within the last year or so. And that is being too bullish on a stock when you shouldn't be, right? Whenever companies drop a dilution after a big run, it's a very, very obviously a red light, right? That you got to take your profit and get out of there as soon as you can.
So that leads us to the next question. What's your what? There's so many different trading strategies that everybody uses, and we would like to know what your trading strategy is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it really depends on what kind of trade it is, right? So, if you're looking at a day trade, I normally use exponential moving averages. EMA 9 and 15 is my go to. And if it's a swing, as far as technical indicators wise, I'm obviously looking for monthly, weekly, and daily patterns, either with a candlestick or looking for ascending triangles, bull flags, falling wedges, things like that. There's so many strategies that you can learn out there. So I would recommend that anyone who is new to trading to learn as many technicals as you can, because it's really going to serve you well, and especially right now over the last since February 18th, where everything just kind of fell off a cliff. We saw all of the markets dip, and the small caps just took a beating ever since then. So it's been about 6 months or so. So in a corrective market, you want to learn Elliott wave corrections. So that's one of the strategies that I go to, because with when stocks correct, they don't go straight down necessarily. There's going to be bounces. There's still money to be made on the bounces, and so I would recommend that anyone to learn Elliott wave corrections. There's a lot of patterns there, and also just general patterns, and moving average is another good one too.
All right. Well, we talked about the indicators that you use um, before market starts. How do you prep? How do you prep for the market? And everybody knows I'm a music fan. What kind of music do you listen to?
So I got Alexa devices. I just pump Drake all pre-market
That's
long,
right.
and it gets me going.
All right, favorite song.
Life is good by
All
Future.
right, sing it.
Nice. Yeah, sing it now.
Life is Life is good by Future, or Nonstop by Drake. So those are my two go-to songs. So it just gets me going. I know they're old, but it works for
And
me.
not, I mean, really, it's not even that. That's not even that old. We listen to way older songs.
No,
Yeah,
really.
you know that. I guess that's the OG song now. Those songs are the
Yep.
OG songs now.
You're kind of
So
flying through these questions.
no, no,
So
no. Wait a second, because
what?
you did. Okay, what else do you do to prep for the market?
Yeah.
So do.
So, so if you guys follow me on Twitter, I do the pre-market
Uh
prep.
huh.
I stream it on
Yep.
Twitter and also YouTube as
Hmm.
well. Definitely, like so. For example, on a Sunday night, if you guys are looking at the futures right
Hmm.
now, that's something that you want to do, right? All you got to do is download the CNBC app and you look at the futures. For example, right now the futures are. Last time I checked, at least a few minutes ago, was pretty green, but I think it fell off a cliff. I think it's okay. It came down flat now. So earlier when the futures opened up, I mean the Russell's future was running up. The Dow and also the Nasdaq was running. So it kind of gives you a flavor for the following morning, right? And of course, it's a little too early to tell. However, if you're on the East Coast, once you wake up in the morning, you should know how the markets are doing and plan your trades accordingly. If you guys are seeing SPY futures down or QQQ futures down, you guys should be storing up cash or going short for the day. So I look at the futures and just kind of check out the market sentiment for the day and plan my trades accordingly. Right now, of course, the IWM, the Russell's small cap is running pretty nicely. So we could see a pretty good run on small caps, obviously, this coming week. There's a lot of great stocks right now that's being talked about a lot on Twitter. So there's opportunities.
So what stocks are do you think are going to run next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good question. So number one, I'm very bullish on Root. So ROOT. BBIG obviously, I mean, ran
Yeah.
45% after hours on Friday, so I think that's going to get a continuation. Like I said, I think small caps are hot right now, and it could be leading into September. SPRT Sport Support.com could see another run as well. It corrected pretty nicely on Friday afternoon, and so that's due for a bounce as well. SBET. If you guys are not on SBET, SBET, that's a good one. And also DATS, where I'm very bullish on long term. So I'm going to hold that stock for a while.
That's right. All right.
That's right. Yeah.
We love
That's right.
dads.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So now I know that you offer programs, but let everybody else know what membership programs that you
Yeah.
offer. Let us
Yeah.
know.
So I started Patreon about 3 months ago, just creating a small community of traders that I can focus it on and teach and do videos and educate. And so far, that's been working out very, very well. So right now, we have about 625 members in the Patreon community. So we do a ton of interaction with the traders, with all the traders in the room, and we also have a lot of education materials as well. So if anybody's interested in that, there's only a few spots left. So just check out the my link in the profile.
Cool.
You heard that? Only a few spots left. Go ahead and check out that
Yeah,
link.
yeah.
So The Rock, what advice do you have for new traders?
Learn to play the both sides of the market, right? It's 2020 has been an extraordinary year last year. And that's where I'm willing to say that 80% of the listeners on this call right now, on this space right now, is started trading at some point in 2020. Um, it was just absolute insanity. The volume that came in, the amount of new retail traders that came in, and we have Robinhood and Webull to thank for that the way that they came in. So I would say learn to play both sides of the market. If you're a bull, that's cool, but there's money to be made on the short side of the market. As you have seen from February throughout most of July, has been in a corrective market. So If you are beating yourself up, wondering why you didn't make money or why you lost money or lost back all the money you gained in 2020 in a few short amount of months, then you need to study the markets a little bit more and learn how to short stocks or play options on the put side. Okay, so that's going to develop you as a well-rounded trader, not just a pounding the table. You're always a bull trader, because that's always the right now the market. We'll see how what the rest of the year looks like. But so far, ever since the beginning of this year, it really hasn't looked well for the bull market, for the bulls.
Alrighty now. So let's go ahead and take the questions to the panel. Hey panel, you got any questions? Let's go.
For sure. What's up, John? I appreciate you taking the time. You know, you've been someone that's really helped me in my trading career, so I appreciate you for that.
Of
So
course.
we've talked about it a little bit, but I kind of wanted to go in more depth. So BBIG, I'd like to hear your
Yeah.
takedown, your breakdown, and will you be? So I mean, it's going to collapse at some point. You know, we're seeing some ridiculous and crazy PTs that are very possible. I'd like to
Right.
see where where you think that it could break to, and also will you be taking puts or will you be shorting it down when it starts to collapse?
No, the thing about short squeezes such as BBIG and support.com is that you want to wait until the hype settles down, right, to start shorting it back down or buying puts on it if there are options available. So I normally stay out of the bull's way. If it's a bull run, let it run. Take advantage of it, right? So right now, BBIG what ran to, I don't, let me see
Like
my
just
chart
under
here.
$8 now. I think it closed
It's just
like
under $8.
770
So you
here.
can bet your bottom dollar is gonna gap up in the morning because there's so much hype on FinTwit and throughout the social media channels. WSB is on it. So I would, yeah, you scalp it on the way up, right? You don't need to try to predict when the top will come, because you will know when the top comes, right? Just like support. Support ran to $60, $59, right under 60, and that was pretty much the top, right? So you'll know when that happens, and it corrected deeply. So with BBIG, what I'm looking at as far as price target wise, just don't come back to me saying that, hey, Rock said this, this dollar or whatever. But I mean, I think it has a legit chance to go to past $11 or $12 this week, just because of the hype and the float on the stock. All right. So if it runs to double digits, you better take your profits. That's my opinion.
Dude.
Awesome, thank you. I'm not holding any shares, but I do have some $10 calls that weren't looking good, but I think
Yeah.
I'm about to get bailed out. So
Yeah, I know. So many people made like thousands of percentages on BBIG calls. I unfortunately was not able to catch this one because I was just not focused on this one. I was really riding support up, and I was playing DATS. I was playing SBET. UGROW is another one that I'm bullish on. We were playing other stocks, and BBIG just kind of took off on me. But it's okay. I still think there's room to run. I don't think. If you're in calls, you need to be grabbing profits because at the open tomorrow.
Cool. So I
something
have a question.
appreciate
I have a question. So if I
Sure.
say for somebody just starting small caps, and they want to get into it, what am I looking for fundamentally, buying into these stocks?
What do you mean? Give me an example. What do you mean buying
Yeah.
fundamentally?
Well, I mean, I could be swinging them. I guess options, whatever. Yeah.
Hmm.
So if I'm new to small caps, what am I looking for exactly?
Well, you want to obviously take a look at what sectors are going right. I think EV has obviously taken a setback over this course of most of this year. If you look at companies like Fisker, Lucid, or even so many others, like even Tesla's has done actually pretty well, obviously. But Lucid and Fisker hasn't done well, pretty much up until the merger rumor, etc. So you want to look at sectors, and you can go to finviz.com to see what sectors are hot. because the money rotates throughout all of these sectors, right? But I mean, fundamentally speaking, there's people may say, well, if I'm going to go long in Disney because, well, my kids have buy Disney products. We have Disney streaming service, or you may even choose to decide, hey, let's go buy Netflix because Netflix has long-term growth potential as well. But as small caps go, a couple of things I look for are obviously patterns on the chart for swings, and also I really consider the float on most of the swings that I go into. Anything over like 200, 300 million float is automatically almost no for me. 100 million, 50 million, or even smaller in terms of float size are generally great swings.
Thank you. Christine, do you have any questions, Mr. Rue?
Rue, do you? I don't.
Yeah. I did want to ask. How you doing, The Rock? How you doing, my man?
Good, man.
So ironically, I think I can say you're the first FinTwit trader I've ever followed. When I
Okay.
got into it, and it's so funny because we had a conversation on Clubhouse a long time back
Wow.
when you were teaching everybody about CCIV. And
Yeah.
I was like brand spanking new, dude, like a baby's bottom. I was completely new,
Uh-huh.
and I learned a lot through just that. I unfortunately didn't exit correctly because I was so new in CCIV, but yeah, it was really great. Like learning, you just leading the way on that and
Yeah.
giving player understanding. So I did want to ask you, what do you think the future is for specs? Do you think it's pretty much over, or?
Yeah, that news that came out over this week over Tops, if you guys remember Tops and Muds, MUDS, how they canceled the merger, et cetera. That kind of took a hit on overall SPACs as well. That's at least from what I saw. If you look at, there are some great SPACs out there. Don't get me wrong, like Volta Charging, like SNPR. I believe they merged this week or next week, finally. If you look at companies even that came out of a merger like Lucid, SPAC, Plug, QS, these companies. Unfortunately, right now, SPACs, there's just some can argue there's oversupply, less demand, right? That's one aspect of it, but I think a lot of traders are just staying out of the SPACs for now, because they just don't pan out well. If you look at what remember IPOC, IPOD, IPO, all those right from Chamath, and what happened to Clover Health? What happened to Open Door Technologies? What happened to XL? If you guys remember XL, and it was PIC at the time. Look at all these facts that actually turned out not to be what it was hyped up to be in terms of their revenue projections and their targets, etc. And even GHIV, we played that too, and now it's UWMC, United Wholesale Mortgage, and that didn't turn out well either. So I think that SPACs, there are great ones, fundamentally speaking. However, technically speaking, and speaking wise, there's no play there for now.
Okay, that's good information. So you think most companies are just going to go through reverse mergers? That's more appealing, I should say.
Yeah, the regular IPO has been much more appealing for investors and for traders. And that's cool too. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just looking at UWMC chart. It's one of the biggest mortgage companies in the United States, next to Rocket Mortgages, and sitting at, I mean, it's sitting at $7, 7.33, right? So you have to say to yourself, man, the SPACs market just isn't what it used to be in 2019 and 2020. This year they're just not having it. It could pick up next year, who knows? But right now I just kind of just steer clear from SPACs.
Got it. All right, I appreciate you so much, my man.
You're
All
welcome.
right, Rue. Thanks for the questions, Christine.
Yes. And before we go to the audience, we have a 30-second game for you. And you have 30 seconds to name a ticker that you're super excited for the upcoming week and why. You ready?
But I'm okay. All right,
Okay,
go
ready? Go.
This
30
is funny.
seconds.
Okay, so like I said, I'm very bullish on BATS over this course of the week. Amazing technology. There's a lot of rumors flying around of
Yep.
potentially buyout in the future, and so I'm actually holding it for Q4. I do think it's going to hit double digits this week.
Hey,
Nice.
Christine,
Got it.
turn.
Woo! Yeah.
Christine, the volume is super
Oh,
loud.
Oh, we can hear him though. I could definitely hear him. So
okay. You guys
yeah,
heard him? Good. Perfect.
you heard that.
Perfect. Okay,
You
well, I
heard
agree with the stats because I love it. All right, so let's
yeah.
get to the the audience.
Let's do it. Let's bring some
Sure.
audience member up. We have Cat Buck Rogers.
Yeah, I have a quick question for The Rock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if I'm looking for these low float stocks on FinTwit. Sorry, not FinTwit, FinViz. Like, and I'm looking at the screener. Like, what am I adjusting on the screener if I want to look for a low float?
Which website or which screener do you use, sir?
FinViz.
Finviz. Okay, so you want to. Yeah, so FinViz, you go to screener and then you go to under the descriptive tab. There's a float on the right hand side column. And what you can do is you can say under 20 or under 50 million or even under 10 million. I would say 50 million is good enough, or under 100, you kind of capture all of the low floats. So that's one good way to do it.
All right, thank
All
you.
righty.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cat. And now Dante.
Hey, how you doing? I had a question about new IPO Squill, SQL ticker. What do you think about it for a short-term swing? Yeah.
SQL. I get a lot of I'm hearing a lot of chatter about it over the weekend so far. I know some of the FinTwit famous guys are on this one right now. I don't, for a lot of times I'll be honest with you guys. If you ask me about a ticker and what I think about the company, I will tell you I know nothing about the company. I don't know much about companies. I just know charts. I know the technical side of things. And if I look at it now, yes, I mean it's running from $3 and then it's over $5 so far. You got 3 million in float, sure. So of course, with volume comes in, and if there's a lot of people talking about the stock, this could run as well. But I think the problem right now too is, with what happened with support.com, right? I think there's this expectation, right, from a lot of traders right now. Okay, well, let's go find the next support.com. When we traded Mara back, MARA, Marathon Patent, when we traded Mara last summer, everybody, I mean, it ran from a penny stock to $50, right? If you guys remember Mara. So I would caution to play all of these stocks that's been running crazy on low float. Pick a few that you like as far as the chart wise, and that you can see that there is room to grow, right? Or else you may be risking more than you're gonna be get rewards from. Does that make sense? Your losses, your risk may outweigh the potential profit. So the reason I like BBIG is because I can look left on the chart and I can see where it was and where it possibly that's where it can go, and I can put my money to make that bet, right? With companies like SQL, there's not a lot of data, right, on SQL. If I'm looking at the daily chart, there's not a lot of data for me to write off of, right? So in this situation, if I see the run up on a 5 minute chart, I may be tempted to maybe play a bull flag, maybe even play a cup and handle, like a pattern play, and just scalp it along the way. But it's nothing that I would swing or consider even holding overnight.
Okay.
I hope that didn't burst your bubble. Sorry.
I hope not either. All righty.
he went very quiet on me. Okay. All right.
All right.
We
Well, the
have
next
Brian.
one we have is Rabia.
Hello.
Hey, Brian. What's up?
Um,
Let's go with Rabia first.
Thanks for your time. I wanted to take your opinion about Moderna. I have some position in Moderna, and
Yeah, Moderna's a fun one, isn't it?
yeah, and I have
Except
yeah,
Friday.
exactly. I don't know what to do with it and how long I should keep it, or when to sell.
Yeah.
Is just the timing has been difficult.
So yeah, so the timing is always going to be difficult, right? I mean, to catch these runs, to catch something like support, to catch something like Moderna that ran from, $100 to $500 in a matter of what, 2 months. You can't time. It's completely unpredictable, right? So as far as Moderna goes, I'm looking at the 2 hour chart. It's trading between a range. If you look at the 2 hour chart, at least trading under 410, 411, and it can trade down as low as 382 to 350. Okay, so obviously that's a very there's a lot of volatility within that stock,
Yeah,
right? Given the weekend news about Moderna's in Japan, and how some of the vials may be contaminated, there's a lot of FUD around Moderna right now. However, if Moderna sees pre-market dips, it usually runs during the day.
yeah,
For some reason. All right. So it's a funny stock. It's just like Tesla. Tesla can dip pre-market. That's a buy signal for me, at least. If it runs in a pre-market, then it's a short signal at the bell. If you remember, just several days ago, Moderna ran to like 413 in the pre-market and went under $400 and went red for the day on I think last Wednesday or so. So it's really predictable how these moves go. Now, if you're in a call option, I would say if you long term speaking, I am very bullish on Moderna. So in those scenarios, I take longer calls, right? So I'll do like a 410 call in October or even November, or even do a leap call. Okay. Now I understand a lot of folks may not have the money for a leap call. All right, especially on a high growth stock like Moderna. But I tell you, cheaper the premiums doesn't necessarily are going to make money, right? The higher premiums, usually with lesser volatility or lesser IV, if we're talking options here, are usually your better friend. Okay, that will make you money down the road if you're patient enough to sit through the volatility throughout the intraday. If you look at companies like Netflix, I know Netflix is going to 600, but it's how long can you sit on your option for? And if you plan on anticipating that Netflix is going to 600, then you need to buy monthly calls and sit on them and be patient with it, right? Because Netflix can dip and Netflix can rip, right? So Netflix ripped to I think 561 or so on Friday, right? So the next stop for me for Netflix is 600. Okay. So unfortunately, back to your question, Moderna, lots of, like I said, FUD around it, lots of stupid articles flowing around, a lot of bears on it. It's a battle right now. So if you, my best, advice, not financial advice, is for you to look at longer term calls.
all right, thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rabia.
Rabia.
And then we have Brian.
Hello. Hello. You guys
Hello.
Hey,
hear me?
B. What's up, B?
What's going on, OTC Club? I love you guys. Honestly, ever since like last week, I've been on my phone. I never used Twitter before, but I'm watching like everyone's tweets now. It's amazing, the community, man. I love you guys
I
for what
wish
you're
I
doing.
could hear you.
Thank you, Brian. We could barely hear you though.
Oh shit, wait,
You got
it's
a
raining
fan
outside.
going?
No, it's raining outside. I'm on the
Oh,
balcony
okay.
smoking a
Wow.
joint. Sorry.
No,
Oh.
you good?
It's good.
You're not in New Orleans, are you?
No, I'm in Toronto.
Okay, all
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I was about to say.
He's toughing it out.
Yeah,
By
just
the way, I
talking
hope
about.
everybody's doing well. If you're on the Gulf Coast, prayers up
Yeah,
for
honestly,
for
Yeah.
anyone out
prayers
there
Oh,
up,
for real.
making it
honestly.
through this hurricane.
Yep.
Man,
Definitely.
Facts.
I just got two questions. One really a statement. I feel like retail investors are basically acting on the transfer of wealth in the market. because we have to basically uphold the market going forward, right? Boomers are retiring, dying, all that stuff, and you know what I mean. I feel like retail investing should be here.
I happen to agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
But the market will stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Does that make sense? Right? So you're going to have to protect your capital at all costs in this type of market where it's up and down. It can get wild. It can tomorrow we can see the biggest rug pull in history. We don't know, right? The market is absolutely irrational. Retail investors, I agree, are here to stay. However, retail investors need to be aware that hedge funds, right, and Wall Street have much more deeper pockets than you and I, right? So all you can do to grow your account is to day trade, scalp, okay? Take your 5, 10, 15, 20% profits. If you make $1, be happy with $1. Does that make sense? If you catch a big runner like Support or like Mara or even BBIG, congratulations, take the profit and be happy with it. Don't get greedy, right? The way that things been running over the last 5 trading sessions is already kind of like, okay, how far can we go here? All right. That's the thing that retail investors need to understand. If you are, because hedge funds and Wall Street, all they have is time. Time is on their side, not on your side. Okay, so you got to be wary or be cautious of that.
All right, Brian, did he answer your question? I hope so. All right.
Dang, did I just burst another
I
bubble?
think you just bursting bubbles all over the place.
Man, I'm a Debbie Downer today.
Honesty is
Sorry,
the best
guys.
policy. You're doing just fine.
I would love for big runs to happen, no doubt about it. But it was just a word of caution, right? You don't want to get trapped in another, repeat of February.
During
So
COVID
Exactly.
trade, sketched out, were you feeling like this is unreal? Because that lasted for a good minute. From your marks
Exactly.
to your
say that again.
were you sketched out during like all of the COVID trading? Because I mean, you could throw a dart and everything would run. Like Mark, UAVS, you name it, everything was running. Anything.
UAVS, that was funny.
You gotta admit though, that thing did its thing all the way from.
Remember Expa?
Oh God, yes, I remember. That did its thing too. I mean, everything. You could. It didn't
Oh,
matter. People are pumping
yeah,
the ED. Hey, we got COVID testing at all the airports. Boom.
yeah.
So,
Expa ran. I remember SNDL hit $5 for
oh
no
yeah,
reason.
Oh yeah.
What was it? Naked, NACD
yeah, that
Mhm.
did
ran
its thing.
to $2, $3 for no reason. Just a flood of retail
Even
traders.
like
That's great.
GHSI finally did its
Yeah,
thing.
if you can make money, great, fantastic. But just be wary of that rug pull and don't get caught into it. Be smart. If you are up 10% on your port in 1 week, be smart. Take the money, right? I think a lot of folks in TRT and our trading group this week, I mean, personally myself, I was up 15% on my portfolio this week, right? And a lot of folks were messaging me all over our Telegram chat. Hey, John, I just made my mortgage payment. Hey, John, I just straight up paid off my car. Hey, John, I'm paying off college right now and all my student tuitions and all that stuff. And that's great. I love to hear that's success. But just know that it's easy to trade in a bull market, right? If you're going to be a long-term trader, you have to understand their cycles, right? And you're going to have to trade the downside too, right? If you want to sustain, or you just take vacation for months out of the year. That's cool too.
That's a good idea too. Like if you don't know how to play that season of trading, then maybe take a vacation for a little.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of folks took much of the first half of August off. I mean, I did too, right? For the most part, I went to San Diego, I went to Vegas, just to get out there and just enjoy some time off with the family. But as and once you come back, you're recharged, you're focused, you catch some good trades, and you build on that momentum.
You
And now
disrespectful.
we have the bearded trader.
The bearded trader.
Good
Beard
beard.
gang, beard
Hey,
gang.
Hey, bro, go ahead and
What's
ask some questions up here.
Hey, can you guys hear me good?
Yep.
We hear
Yes.
you just fine.
Hey, so Rock, man, I got a question for you. So, man, I tend to get in these plays really early, but my problem is holding, for these big massive runs. What kind of advice do you have for that?
Yeah, I know. I bet you everybody, a lot of folks are still holding support, support.com, etc. So the best thing to do is, skill out, right? And so, if you're holding it for long term for specific reasons, then it's entirely up to you what your trading plan is going to be. But if it's just a swing, if it's just something short term, and you don't care too much about the fundamentals of the company or the upcoming catalyst, then you need to set your profit targets, right? And scale out. A lot of folks do a quarter at a time, right? Let's say, for example, you buy at 8, it runs to, let's say it goes to 9, so that's obviously good profit. You scale out 25%. I do that on day trades as well. With day trades, I will take profit more aggressively, more like 50% at a time, and I'll be out by the second profit target. But on a swing, I'll go a little bit slower. I'll scale out 25% at a time until I get a sense that, okay, well, this thing might keep running. I'm just going to hold it little bit more. But if it starts to retrace, like very deeply down to like 0.78, 0.618 retracement levels, then yeah, I got to take my money and run away, right? So scaling out of a trade is important, especially if you're catching a nice swing. For example, like for support, right? Uh, the way that it's running is the way that it ran is just crazy, right? So we got in at nines. I actually averaged up to 11 when it went to 15. I was like, oh crap, this thing's running, right? And then I finally took out some profit at 20. I took more profit out at 30, knowing that it was going to 50. So I scaled out more at 50, and I'm pretty much writing free shares at this point, watching it go to 60. So that's how I normally would do it. Now that's not the normal because no stocks run like this. You're gonna catch a unicorn once in a while, like this, like GLSI, like BBIG, etc. But normally on a swing, in this kind of weird market that we're in, hey, you take your profit of 15% and be happy with it and move on to the next trade because there's obviously more opportunities.
Yeah, so talking about this kind of market, so do you trust this market enough to do plays right now? Or, I mean, mainly I don't trading. I don't care about, what the company does or anything like that. Just basically on chart performance and, support
Yeah,
levels and resistance
right.
stuff. So,
Yeah, I don't like I said, I don't do a ton of research on companies like I used to back then, because just that's not the market for it. The market cares less about how much the company makes. It's really about, okay, right now, at least right now, it's really about, okay, the volume, right? Who's on it, the FinTech community on it, social media's on it, WSB is on it, and that's how a lot of folks are trading right now. And maybe one day fundamentals will come back. I don't know. But right now, we just work with the market and what it's given us.
sweet man,
Yep,
appreciate it.
no problem, bud.
Thank you so much, Spirited Trader. Thank you so much. You're a great question. Now we have Triple A. Hey.
Hey, Doll, what's going on? Thank you for having me up.
Whoa. Okay. I see what you said. Like, all right. Go ahead and ask Rock a question.
What's up, man?
Uh, how are you doing, Rock? Appreciate your
Good,
time.
good.
I came in on Honest when it IPO'd, and we all know how that worked out. And it went from 19 down to 9. So I looked into like SLI and MindMed, MNMD. Do you have any info on growth potential with them? Because when I initially looked into them, they were like, 5x, 6x that were possible. But anything on those two tickers?
No, unfortunately, I've never heard of them, man. Sorry. I don't play. Did you say IPO? Was it IPO or was it SPAC?
So Honest came out on an IPO. It was a beauty care line. MindMed is it's like a medical company
Okay.
that
Mm-hmm.
was,
Okay.
and
I
then
think it's like a
SLI is,
psychedelic.
Yeah,
Psychedelic.
Okay.
psilocybin, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't. I'm not aware of those two companies, man. Sorry. But I would
Yeah.
say, hey, if you're holding shares on them or you're red in them, you got to make a decision on what to do. You know, it's oh boy, how do I explain this? Okay, so I know it's not your stock is probably not the same. Okay, but I'll talk about Sava real quick. If you guys know Cassava Sciences this week, um, the problem is we do too much research at times. I'm not saying research is bad or DDs or fundamentals are bad. It's just that when you do so much research, it starts to sway your opinion away from the price action, is where you end up losing money. Does that make sense? Um, because the stock market, again, does not care how what the fundamentals are anymore, right? It's just not the way it used to be. So there are gonna be bulls and there's gonna be shorts, and right now a lot of shorts are winning. Okay, in terms of some of these companies. So I've been posting on Twitter very publicly and on stock twits that I don't like Saba because I think they're a scam. I think they personally myself, I think they falsify data, but that's my personal opinion. So I'm going to go short on the position on the stock, but I get a lot of trash talk about it because people will come at me on the stock twits and Twitter and say, "Oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, FDA this, FDA that. That was all BS." This and that's fine, that's cool. But if you look at the chart, what does the chart tell you? Right? If you look at the 1 hour Saba chart, what does it tell you? It's on a staircase down. So I'll play the short position. Right? I don't want to start digging into Saba and try to create in my mind, right? When the stock is obviously in a downturn, I don't want to go do more and more digging to make me feel better about losing. Does that make sense? Right?
yeah,
Because there are a lot of people holding bags on companies in a losing position because they keep digging and digging and digging to make themselves assured. Okay, instead of watching the price action and trade off the price action. Okay, now again, if you're a fundamental trader, if you are a fundamental investor, feel free, right? That's your strategy. Then you are holding it for a long term. Then that's not a bad thing, but you better be prepared emotionally for the short term price action, right? So, for example, I'm very bullish on Fubo, right? Everybody knows I'm Mr. Fubo, right? And a lot of people out there are. Does the price action suck? Yes, it does. But I'm prepared emotionally to go along for it. I don't care what the daily action is, right? But at the same time, I'm not sitting there like, okay, I'm going to go read the Fubo 10Q report to make sure to reassure myself. I already made that decision up front. Okay. So you need to ask yourself, why did you get into this company and why are you still holding it? If you are holding it for the long term, then do the long term thing. But if the price action is just, you're holding a big bag and you're missing out on tons of opportunities out there, it's okay too to release the position, free up some buying power, build up your account back up, and I guarantee you that stock that you dropped, right? It'll still be there when you make your money back, right? And you can still get back in and probably at a cheaper price.
I appreciate it. So, and also, opposed to trying to pick out individual winners, how do you feel about like ARC or SPY that's on NASDAQ, like going ETFs?
Yeah, I don't play SPY. I don't play QQQ, right? I don't play the ETFs that often. I did it a few times here and there. They're not necessary for me, but I watch them because they are a great indicator for obviously the tech sector, right? And growth stocks in general. Okay, so I keep my eye on them, and also IWM, for example. So a lot of people play puts and calls and longs and shorts over these ETFs and even ARK, ARKK as well. And that's cool. They are great. They serve to me as indicators. I don't necessarily trade them.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you,
Of
Dal.
course, man.
Appreciate you.
Thank
All
you,
right. Thank you.
AAA crypto
AAA.
traders.
All right. Now we have Anzor. Hey, Anzor. Unmute your mic when you talk.
Can you hear me?
Yep. What's up? We
Yeah,
hear you.
not much. Hi, hey Rock, I got a question for you, man.
Sure.
Um, I got into BBIG at low force, and I sold it around like 525, and then obviously it ran up, right? So, what do you think on BBIG? I mean, news was great. You think it still has some room to go up? Like,
Yeah.
what are your
So we
thoughts?
so we covered it earlier. So I still think that personally, my opinion, okay, only my opinion. I still think there's room to run into tens and twelves. Okay. So play accordingly. If I just know that pre-market is setting up tomorrow to be pretty hot.
Well, thank you, man. That's all what I want to ask. You're great, Rock. I love you, man. You're great.
I appreciate it, bro.
Thanks,
Thank you,
All
man.
Ans.
right,
You too.
Anzor. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. We have Tony. What's up, Tony?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi Rock, how are you going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm all good, thank you. I just have a question in general with regards to long-term positions. Would you be an advocate of holding a long-term portfolio? You know, like
Yes.
passive investing?
Yes. You should
Um,
diversify.
yeah. I
Yeah.
also have another question regarding your, technical indicators. What indicators would you recommend using when, developing charts, etc.?
Depends on if it's a day trade, swing trade, or a long term trade, right? So
Mostly. Oh, sorry.
yeah, so okay, so if you decide, like, for example, you want to go long on Apple, for example, right? On a company like Apple, most traders, actual traders, they will trade off the daily action. Okay, but if you are to, let's say, you want to go long on Apple, you need to stretch out the chart. You need to stretch it out into weekly or even monthly charts, right? So
We
you want to look at moving averages over weekly charts on companies like Apple. If you decide that, hey, that's good, that's just going to be a long term play. If it's a midterm play or a midterm, like, hey, maybe you're going to play this, you want to swing this for a month because, for example, Fubo, NFL season is coming up, right? And the sports wagering, DKNG and Penn is running like nuts right now, right? And Fubo is not even catching a whiff of it. That's ridiculous. Okay, so I'm going to play this for a month. Then you look at the daily chart and you play the moving averages, simple moving averages like 821 and 50 is probably going to be your friend. If you're going to go long term, then MA 100, 200 is going to be your friend. If you're looking at day trading, then my favorite ones are usually exponential moving averages 9 and 15.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Rock.
You're welcome.
Just that obviously depends on the market cap of the companies as well, does it?
Sure.
Or
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. You
that's
need to look
perfect.
at that as well, right?
Thanks a
So
million, Rock.
there's a reason why Apple stuck right under 150, right? And it
Mm,
looks like it's going to break out, and it's kind of it does a head fake every pre market. All right. It's part of that is because of the market cap and
thanks a million,
PFE.
Rock.
Yeah, PFE,
Cheers.
same thing, stuck at $50.
Alrighty, Tony. I hope he answered your question. Thank you for coming up. We got PR.
Yo, it's Young Prophet, Profitable,
What's up?
aka
Hello.
YP the Duke. Hi, Doll. Hi, The
What's
Rock.
up?
Um, quick question about averaging down. You already talked about averaging up. So I wanted to know, get an idea of your levels there when you generally average down. Because for me, I hate averaging down. I just cut my losses and get out of there. On a day trade, usually it's the previous day lows. On like a longer trade, I mean, most I hold is something 2 weeks. It might be the previous week lows. So just kind
Yeah.
of wanted to see where your levels are at there on averaging down. All right, thanks.
For sure. So I'll tell you guys a mistake that I made that actually ended up not being a mistake, right? So I got into neuro about 2 weeks ago at 14s because I figured from the chart wise it was kind of starting to curl, right? The daily chart was starting to curl. I like this company. I like this chart. Wow, $14, it's a steal. And then what happened, right? Small caps all took a dip over the last prior to last week. So I ended up watching that position go from 14 to literally last Monday and went under 10. And I was like, what in the world am I doing in this position? Okay. Now, normally speaking, if I'm careful about my positions, which I should be, I shouldn't have averaged down, right? But I actually took more when it actually dipped below 13 and then 12. I took a little bit more. Okay. And the reason I did that is because I knew a catalyst would eventually come because of the low float. So I kind of held on to that position. I didn't sell any, I just averaged down. And the way I average down, I just use obviously fib retracement levels. I look at the moving averages as another way, and I scale into the trade, even though, with this one particularly, I averaged down. What ended up being a mistake ran to $20 on $21 on Friday, right? Or $20 on Friday. So I took profit and left the position. So that actually worked out well. It's not going to work out like that all the time. So I kind of got lucky on that. But normally speaking, in any trade on averaging down, I like you, I hate averaging down on losers as well. But if it closes, I kind of subscribe to, if you guys know Radio Silent Play, I kind of subscribe to his rule that if it closes below your prospective floor 2 days in a row, then you GTFO, right? And I love that rule, right? So a lot of times, what many traders would do is that if it closes under moving average 8 or 21, or let's say some people use 10 and 20. If it closes below that floor for you 2 days in a row, then you need to get out. Okay. And then move on to the next trade. All right. But what hurts the most is watching that trade completely diminish in your portfolio. And you want to avoid that situation as much as possible. I only give the example of neuro because, well, it actually turned out into my favor, but it's you're not going to get lucky like that all the time.
Thank God that wasn't your main recommendation there, neuro. Average down and pray for a catalyst.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, but quite honestly, I mean, I actually did some DD on a kind of company prior to getting in, and I figured that was a floor. And I mean, that was a bad strategy on my part. I would agree, but in hindsight, it all worked out. I took profit, thank God. All right, move on. But however. So I give that example as a bad way to trade, right? But the good way to trade is, again, it's looking at your moving averages, and if it closes below your support, your support you could, like you mentioned, right, previous low of the week or previous high, whatever. If that's your perspective floor, then use it and stick with it and trade accordingly to that plan, right? If your plan is, let's say, I'm going to use EMA 21, a lot of people use EMA 21 as a holy grail, right? Then you play the EMA 21. Okay. Some folks will not get into a trade until it breaks above EMA 21, and people will short it if it goes below EMA 21. So that's another indicator as well.
I like the two closes below the support too, because there's so many times where my stop will get triggered and then it's just rips after that,
Correct.
But thanks for the advice. Appreciate it, man.
For sure, buddy.
Coming up here.
Thank you,
Profitable.
Profitable.
Yeah, I liked your intro too. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. PSR. What's up, PSR? Say something nice.
Hey guys, hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Hi Rock, I have a couple of questions. So, what do you think of Gina's? It's almost near to all-time lows. So that's number one. And number two, what's your best guess on a company that's gonna hit 10 trillion market cap in the future?
Which company?
Yeah, what's your best guess on big market caps that's gonna hit 10 trillion?
10 trillion?
Yep.
You talking about Tesla?
No, anything. What's your guess?
Oh, okay. You're asking my guess. Oh,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think that far ahead in terms of market cap goes. 10 trillion's a lot. But did you ask about Genius, like Genius Brands?
Yeah, correct.
Uh, well, it's under $2. That's all I know. And well, yeah, it's actually $1.50.
$1.50.
Yeah, so we talked about that when I traded this last year from like $1 to $11. Fun
Hmm.
stock. However, their cartoon channel fantastic. Great company, great executive staff, great, fundamentally great. Okay, trading wise, not so much. Okay, so it's just they have a high float. It's 300 million and float. So it's yeah, they're gonna have catalysts and they're gonna be great catalysts. However, everybody's just gonna flip it. It's a scalp. Okay, it's nothing for people to hang on to. So that's why it sells off so quickly, right? If you look at whoever's holding at $2 average, okay, they're probably still holding it. They're like, oh, whatever. I'm gonna hold it. As soon as Genus takes off on a catalyst to $2, they're gonna sell it and just cut their losses, or break even and then move on. That's why it sells off so quickly. Another one that that I'll talk about is IDEX, like Ideanomics, right? 432 million in float. I'm not saying anything bad about the company. Fundamentally speaking, a great EV mobility innovator. They're in the right sector, but no love for the stock. Okay, so in these situations, you have to ask yourself, okay, is there money to be made elsewhere for now? Okay, even though I'm bullish on a company, it doesn't mean I need to put money down on it right now and just sit there and let it be red, right? So with companies like this, I just kind of tend to shy away and just focus on some runners, some great swings, make money. Hey, if Genus takes off to $11 tomorrow, well, sorry.
Got it. Thank you for answering.
Thank
All
you
right.
for coming here,
Thank
PSR.
you.
And I think that is all. We can now
Yes.
wrap it up.
Can I eat dinner now?
Yes, you could
No.
eat dinner now.
All right, The Rock, just let's wrap it up. And do you have any closing statements so you can go eat dinner?
It's been a pleasure to be with you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. Shout out to all you guys who've been following me for over a year now. It's been a pleasure to teach, to help, to educate. And feel free to message me. I have my inbox open. Just don't flood me with a bunch of tickers. But I'm always here to help others. That's my goal here. So thank you guys, OTC Club, all you guys for having me on.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
for
much.
being with us today.
Of
Yeah.
course.
And Early Stock Fix said, what are you looking at? That was his question.
Well, he's late. Tell him he's late to the show, and too bad.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the OTC Club. And thank you, The Rock, for joining us today. Please
All
make
right.
sure to follow all of the hosts up here. Go ahead and follow the OTC Club and hit the bell for reminders. Also, this space is recorded and will be on YouTube. So go ahead and follow. All right, you guys. We'll see you on West Coast Wednesday.
Yes,
Thank
have a
you
good
very much.
trading week, guys.
All right, y'all. Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.